Because this year I can't spend the holidays with my parents, siblings and their kids, I built a remote version of myself so I can still be there with them. I regularly catch up with my sisters and parents in video calls, and for individual one-on-one conversations that's great. It's almost like the real thing. But when they all gather in one place, and I'm the only one dialing in remotely, I rarely get the feeling like I'm really part of the event. So when the pandemic made real-life visits almost impossible, I started to think, how can I achieve an experience that is a bit more like being there? How can I have control over what I see? And how can I really interact with the group and participate? Naturally, my thoughts spun around combinations of VR and 360 cameras and stereo vision, but none of it felt right. Because in a best case scenario, I would have an immersive experience and the opposite side would have to converse with a small faceless device. And if I still managed to show them my face somehow, there won't be much to see in the first place. So how can I make both sides happier? My solution? Putting my face on a moving screen, giving both sides the sense of me actually being there. And it's 100% intuitive, requiring zero new knowledge, skills or habits. So in technical terms, I needed a robot device capable of imitating my head's orientational motion, which in this case equals my phone's orientational motion. Originally, I also wanted it to tilt sideways for enhanced expressiveness, but it would have made everything unproportionally more complicated. So I looked for a simple desktop robot arm that would get me started quickly, aka the one with the most Google results for lots of copy-paste code. And also a way to read my phone's sensor data for the movements. This is what I love about being alive right now. I'm not much of a pro at anything, but almost certainly I'm gonna find some open source app or device that's gonna do part of what I need, and then some YouTube videos that show me how to tweak it or connect it to some other Apple device in a creative way in order to achieve exactly what I set out to do. Or at least kinda what I set out to do. Next thing I looked into was stereo audio. If I really wanted to be present somewhere else, I needed to A, have directional hearing in order to react to sounds and voices, and B, be able to separate parallel conversations in order to overcome the one conversation at a time limit. The keyword here is binaural recording if you want to learn more about it. Big in the ASMR world. So I equipped my head with ears and hid some stereo microphones in them. But to my great disappointment, I couldn't find a single video call or conferencing app that would transmit stereo audio. I eventually even tried to create my own video call app based on some popular SDKs, but I had to give up after a few days because I was working against the clock with Christmas closing in on me. If you have an idea on how to do this, let me know. For now, I have to ask someone on the other side to connect the microphones to a desktop computer and to start an additional stereo Zoom call in parallel just for the audio. After all the time I've been putting into making everything elegantly simple and foolproof, you can imagine how totally cool I am about this. So next up, skin. As always, I wasn't satisfied with making it purely functional. I wanted it to look cool and more like a human. Not too much like a human though. I initially played with the thought of cutting off a mannequin's face and wrapping the rest around the robot somehow, but I thought that would have been artsy at best and surely not worthy of my distinguished 3000 product label. Then, after a lot of pondering, I came up with this do-it-yourself craft kit look. And after some more pondering, I came up with a connector system that would interlock elegantly, so no glue, screws or the like is needed. And this led to the most gratifying part in the whole development process. Unfolding my design, laser cutting, thanks Will, rebending and refolding, and then seeing that it actually works in real life with a series of... Let's hear that again. And speaking of do-it-yourself, I'll add links to my drawings, cutting templates and Arduino code below if you want to have a go at it. Now it's time to attach everything to my robot. Magnets for the iPad, some lead crane stuffing as a counterweight, and some mounts for the skin. Done. This is when I realized I've made a glorious mistake. The shoulders are supposed to stay in place, while neck and head are meant to turn and tilt. But there's no space inside the casing for the burly robot shoulders and the servo to rotate. And where exactly did I think the chin was gonna move to? Massive setback. Days of despair. I only saw two ways out of this. A. Attach the shoulders to the robot's base and have them rotate with it. Lame. Or B. Make the chest way wider. But then I came up with a quite elegant third option, a compromise. Make the shoulders move a little bit, just like in real life. And how? With the help of rubber bands. If I add a layer between base and neck and I attach it to either with rubber bands, Surely it must move like 50%, right? Soon I've realized that I've discovered what's probably one of the most basic laws in mechanical engineering, and that I could simply replace my flimsy rubber bands with solid sprockets for a way more elegant liaison. So almost there, right? Not quite. So far, my robot follows my movements only if I stand right next to it. But how do I send the sensor data to the robot over the internet? After doing some research and experiments, I decided that I need some help with the code. Thank you, Christian. Now, this device can interpret my phone's data and send it to a server, which my robot can in turn read and execute. Now, time for final touches. A strap for safe handling, a sensor to see if the iPad is in place to protect the servos. Doesn't actually have to be an iPad. A few system lights, a reset button, done. Now I just have to build an army of those and I can start a remote conferencing service. But let's not get distracted here. I still haven't achieved my mission to get this thing to my sister's place on time for Christmas.
Hurry, Santa!
Oh my god, it worked! Is what I would have said if it had worked. Unfortunately, and even after a full week of intense fingers crossing, my package is still stuck somewhere in a warehouse only around 50 kilometers away from me, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. And because by now the holidays already feel like a distant memory for most, I didn't want to wait with this video any longer. But maybe by now I've managed to link to the demo video here. And if not, I can only kindly suggest that you subscribe so you get notified when the real life demo is up. Happy New Year!